Just bringing all these crazy people on. I'll tell you one thing before he gets here. This is one man who I think might have been on psychedelics, in my opinion.
Microdosing, right?
No, I don't think micro at all.
Well, you're probably right. Yeah, macro dosing, right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, I'm stopping short of overdosing, God forbid. But
you now know that John will have lost that URL to click and join here.
No, he's here. Someone by the name of Toby Burkhart is here. Hi, Mr. Mark Masters. It's all your fault.
Is it Al? Evening, everybody. 7:10 in the sunny south coast of the UK. Are we this evening, Tom, my lovely?
Hey, I think we ought to have a Mark and John firecracker death match.
Good. That's good.
So Jan, I have John. So area when he comes in, so I have a conference, and he closes the conference every year.
Yeah.
So what we do at the conference is that a sponsor will buy everybody a beer, buys everyone a drink. Man, it is so good when rather than thinking you got to get a big name to close something, when you just have fun with it. And hello, mate. Hello, John. You're easy.
There's my boy, Marky Mark. We have this little dance we do. It's like a little shuffle. It's really embarrassing. Mark and I.
Listen, I was just saying. So when you close something and you have a beer and a G&T or a wine, rather than going for the sky by having a big name speaker, it just relaxes the whole environment. So yes, I am privy to Toby Burkhart.
Oh, sorry, I need to change that. He's my boy.
We just got the official word from my wife. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, yay! Oh, can we get your daughter's opinion since I didn't know she existed? Oops.
Yeah, she's probably like, I don't know who that guy is,
Yeah, she doesn't actually care. Yeah, like most teenagers.
True story. I went to visit all three of them when they were at camp. And I arrived there wearing my light blue "I'm huge on Twitter" shirt. And They all looked at me and they said, "Dad, you got to take that shirt off now. You got to take that shirt off now. You can never wear that shirt again. You can never wear that shirt again." I said, "But it's fun. And I really am huge on Twitter."
Huge.
Yeah,
like,
huge.
Never.
Huge.
Hi, Faith.
Hello.
I enjoyed the firecracker question.
Oh,
I
for
did too.
sure.
That was good.
There is a scene from our interview, and I just didn't timestamp it properly, but there's one where just the two of us are just laughing hysterically.
Yeah.
If you find that timestamp, like, I mean, I'll try and remember it as well. When I'm editing this one today will be very easy. I'll basically, just delete like about 97% of it. And
Good.
And the 3% will just be the promo.
Well,
That's because I'm a communicator.
Because you gave us that stat last time about being only 20%, 17% female. So I have to stand firm for the constituent.
Guess who's on the show on Monday, Faith?
Who?
Our favorite Rini is on the show.
Oh, fantastic.
So you know what happened is exactly what I said, which was I looked at next week. I mixed a whole bunch of things up because I've got Will Haskell, who's literally one of the Democratic Party's rising stars. He's a young guy. I think he's like 21 or 22 or 23, and he's running for re-election, representing the Connecticut Senate. He's just a fantastic guy. And then when I looked at everyone, I was like, yep, we got 5 guys. Got to change that because I said I was going to not have a single week again where I have 5 guys, and I went out and I was like, Rini, I want you on the show. And she's like, come on.
Fantastic.
So that's Monday.
Progress has been made.
It's
Listen,
slow,
we're keeping him honest. We're gonna hold people accountable.
That's right.
Jay Jaffe included.
That's right. Hold those feet to the fire.
So Morris, did you write any notes today?
Well, yeah, it's the most unusual note sheet you will have seen from all the shows. So it starts off, look how normal looking my notes are to a point. and then it goes to the big.
Good time is had by all.
That's hilarious.
And then more beers per episode by host and guest in the history of the show, I think, right? We set a record today. And we didn't even have to contribute here in the peanut gallery. You know, I don't have a beer near me, but I feel completely hydrated just from you.
You know, Tom, sometimes it's also about the body of work, and when we look back on this week, I mean, it was just a mix of everything this week. In the best possible way. And I think for me, it's like this great mental gymnastics to be able to morph and change and, be sublime and be serious and be irreverent and be deprecating and, and I love it.
Gymnastics, John shows up with Toby Burkhart. And now it says on his picture, not one single point made. It's like this changes every few seconds who we're talking to here. This is good. This is good.
And that was a bad that was that a Sean Connery impression?
Oh, that was the worst ever. I don't know. I'm Scottish. Is he Scottish?
Like even I felt nervous there, mate.
Mark, you have never asked me to do accents because I'm crap. My wife can do any accent on the planet, and she knows that I'm a performer with one accent, and it's kind of somewhere between Canada and London.
And she's only 14.
And that is the only thing that I'm familiar with. The folks from Paddy Power, they have one content strategy: don't do anything that will land us in prison. That's the one thing on Corona TV that will land me in prison.
I was Googling British law. I was Googling British law right away. I mean,
you
did Memphis law in Memphis, no problem.
You did give an example of, I think it was a Slovakian beer example, and I'm fairly certain that's how old Melania was when she was exported out of Slovakia. So there you go.
There are many things to Google about that.
Yeah, that's a point made for sure.
Now I'm gonna have to take this YouTube episode offline. Just because of that.
Yeah.
Hey John. I had
You did give an example of.
Hey John, I had while you were talking about the importance. There was a great question from Joseph about Zoom fatigue, and your comeback with that was really great. I mean, from a really formula standpoint of how to do that, not just liven up your conversation, but visually. To make a point, to be back, to be, talking and then come up when it's necessary or, emphatic. And it made me think that you could have taken everything you were talking about in that show, done a split screen and dubbed your voice where you're just sitting there like this, like most people. And then the other side of the screen is who you are naturally. And for sure, the attention meter would be off the charts for the one where you're standing back and moving around.
So this is interesting because, I mentioned to Joseph in the green room that I had the privilege of another Corona TV guest, CC Chapman. He's one of my favorites. So I spoke with his university students, a sports marketing lecture workshop last week. But did you guys know that university level students don't turn their cameras on? I was just blown away by this. How can this exist? I'm assuming on all your meetings you're required to show your face, right? Or maybe not. Maybe that's just me wanting to connect with people's souls. But do you guys? I just don't think it's right to not turn your camera on. It really. Oh no! Now that this means that Heidi's going to turn her camera on. Oh, oops! I didn't mean to make. Oh, Jason's turning his on. But no, just on a general rule, when you're doing a lecture, don't you think everyone should have their camera on? Because I just don't know how to communicate to little dots.
No.
But by the way, that was a great demo, Jan, because I had no idea that you were actually a leprechaun. I had no idea that you were like 2'5". So that was amazing seeing you all compact in my screen. That was true life, right?
Hey, that's good.
That was true to scale. That was amazing.
Oh, by the way, John, your use of the balls flying through the air at your events. Yeah. I had an experience at Notre Dame where I taught for 15 years. I always threw out Snickers bars at the beginning of class. As I entered the class to some music, we always had an intro song, and I would enter the class at 400 freshmen. I'd be throwing out Snickers bars to everybody. And I had a famous doctor visit once who had put Johnny Carson on a treadmill on the Tonight Show, and he was sort of a big deal. And he said to me, "Oh, this Snickers bars thing, you know the brilliant science behind that, don't you?" And I said, "I have no idea. Kids like Snickers bars." I mean, he said, no. In our evolutionary past, in human prehistory, anything that moved, you could eat it or it could eat you. So we are hardwired at the deepest level in our brains to pay attention to motion. And he said, when you entered the class, you used the motion of throwing things through the air to get everybody's attention. And then you use different motion the rest of the class to keep their attention. And he said, I figured you knew the evolutionary backdrop of that. I said, no, I have no idea.
You just knew that people wanted to get jacked up on sugar, so they'd pay attention
absolutely,
for a few
right?
minutes.
For philosophy class, right? But
No,
so that's why to see you do that, and it has the same effect, right? It draws everybody's eyes to you right away. It wakes everybody up right away. It's a brilliant strategy.
Let me ask you this, because so motion has always been important. I actually invented this whole ball thing down at where Mark Masters has his "You Are the Media" thing, because it was based on a theater, because it was a tiered seating, and I just wanted everyone to get a way to communicate, because it was too good of an arena not to get everyone to have a shot at me. And then it worked, except obviously, as I mentioned, the hard balls knocked me out. But what's really important is motion. So like, how do we do that in these times? Like I've been playing around with slingshots, thinking for fun, because my neighbor's across the road.
But you keep breaking your computer screen, right? I mean, that's
as an experiment. No, I'm just like, I'm going to slingshot something to my neighbor in his back garden, because he just lives over the way, and let's see if it lands. He's on Zoom, he's on the conference as well. But don't you think it's hard to do motion in this COVID time?
It's a funny thing, right? Because I was a professor in front of big classes. Then I became a keynote speaker in front of like 5,000 or 10,000 people. And there's a certain way you do things in that setting. But once, years ago, I was asked to make TV commercials for Winnie the Pooh, for Disney home videos. And I was in Hollywood for the thing. And there's, this giant film crew. And I'm doing the presentation for Disney the way I would do my classes of keynote speak. And the director, South African feature film director, runs up to my face and stands this close in front of me. He says, "This is how far away I am. I am this big. Stop the gestures." He said, I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "When you raise your eyebrow on a TV commercial, that's motion. You don't have to be like you're in a big stage. In fact, that's overdoing it for us." He said, "You've got to, the gentle motion, the small motion on the small screen is a totally different thing," which is interesting, because I'm like you. I'm all over the place. I like to use energy. I like to use motion. I like to catch people by surprise. But I learned for TV, he made me do things a wholly different way. And I'm wondering with Zoom, right? Where do we find the right blend or balance between the two different approaches? It's an interesting challenge,
Gentlemen, can I just butt in here? You just made me think in there, Tom.
Yeah.
You're just talking about kind of things being all over the place and organising it as well. I got John to tell a story now. Talking of being over the place, and he also said Winnie the Pooh. So Jason Miller was also there, and John should have been on stage.
Mark, don't go there. Don't go. I mean, go there. Yes, go there.
Everybody, John, can you tell this story in this professional environment that you're now?
But like, I was literally trying to impress Tom in a big way, and this is like going to ruin everything. But okay, I'm going to have to step back because this is way too personal.
This is the greatest story of all time I've ever heard in my entire life. By the way, Jason,
oh my God,
done brilliant job today. But this is the most epic story.
Jason, you have the coolest backdrop ever, Jason, by the way.
Should we all go and get another drink, or?
Yes, everyone get a drink. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
This better not be the Dingleberry dance.
This is not the Dingleberry dance.
All right, so I'm going to go get another drink. I think Stephen's going to ask a question. Hold off on the story until.
What good is a beer without pizza? So I went out
don't tell me you
got
have
pizza. Notice the pizza.
It's a cruel thing on Zoom, isn't it?
That
Well,
is so mean.
It tastes good. I think Tom was the one that said we're going to break the record for beers. So
Yeah.
what good is a beer without a pizza?
You know?
No, I would tell you one thing, and I will give this to you for free, Mr. Tom Morris, that alcohol helps. That's all. And there endeth the lesson.
Oh wow!
All right, I'll be
Everybody-
back. I'll be back with a scotch. We're
There's
starting
no
early
liquidity.
here.
This show, we never knew if it would reach liquidity event, but today is.
Is that a beer that Steve has called Hell? That is welcome to hell.
Yeah,
I
well,
love
It
that.
is. It's a hell style.
Nothing like a Coors Light.
Oh yeah, said the
Oh, you did.
93-year-old grandma when she got 150 cans delivered to her door. I guess you guys know that story. Unbelievable.
look at this.
Oh my gosh, you all of Steve's
All
are
the
related
beers
to
are called
hell.
Hell.
Oh, this is so good.
Hey, hell yeah, Steve.
Jason, what do you have to contribute to the alcohol scene? I think you were doing cocktails.
Punk IPA.
Oh, punk IPA. I
My goodness, you
can
guys are
roll.
prepared for this show today. I came completely with just. I've got water. I feel like the most boring person on Zoom today.
It's
My
7:30
I
in
have
the
nothing.
UK, man.
9 o'clock.
My name is Bill, and I only take psychedelics.
Tom, we started drinking at noon today. That's what you do in the UK. You start at noon.
I see.
Indeed.
Okay. Yeah.
We're on holiday, Jason and I. Our kids are out of school and we're just struggling.
Is that a Brexit thing, or has that always been the case?
Yeah, every Halloween is always a holiday. You always have to deal with your kids in stupid costumes,
Yeah.
or adults.
We
Joseph,
We
what is
got-
that? Is that rosé?
no. This is Glen Morangi, and let me tell you, this is as tall.
You've mostly finished the bottle.
Yeah, this
That's why
is
you
as
were off
tall.
screen so long.
This is as tall as Jan Slotnick. This is also this is about as tall as he is in his.
Oh,
there we
What
go.
has he got there? What does he
This
have
is
there?
degenerating quickly.
It's Glen Morangi. I'm having
love
only
it.
one.
Oh wow! Mark,
right,
do I
I'm
have
ready.
to tell this story?
Wait, there was a story.
Here's
I
the
was
Yeah.
waiting for. Look, I've got Pooh. I've got Piglet. We're waiting for the story.
Okay.
Let me tee it up. So there is a conference on the South Coast down in England, and John was taken to the stage mid-morning, just before lunch.
Just before lunch.
To close the morning session, John was going to present on stage, and did this old theatre. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, the old Victorian theatre, right on the cliff top, very Victorian, very English, very rustic. And yeah, I'll let John take this away.
Okay, first off, a lot of speakers in the Zoom room here. So you have to realize, yeah, I knew what I was dealing with. There were two rookie speakers, a lovely husband and wife team speaking before me. But because there were two of them and they were talking about their baby, this brand that they had built, I knew for a fact that they would waffle on a bit because it's their passion. So unfortunately, I had gone for, because Mark's whole gig is on the beach. So I had gone for an early morning swim, and it was like 10 degrees Celsius, which is like right cold. And I had I'd gone for a very, very cold swim with a fellow keynote speaker friend. And then I spoke to my wife, as I normally do, about 30 minutes before. In fact, I'm just on the phone, buddy. I'll be right there. We'll
It was
order
a
the
wild
burgers.
swim, John. You're not spelling it. It was a wild swim.
It was, oh yes, sorry,
A
I
new
lied
trend.
to you.
A new trend in the UK.
Yeah. Sorry, it was a totally wild swim, and I didn't have on a wetsuit because I don't own one of them. So I was, it was uncomfortable, we'll just say. And 30 minutes before, I called my wife saying, I really want to do well. I want to impress Mark, and Jason's here, and like Mark Schaefer's here, like some big deals, right? So she said, she worries for a living. So she said, you do know that will lower your body temperature, and sometimes it wrecks things in the system, like on a bowel level. And And I was like, I had no idea because I don't know much. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'll be fine. And then 10 minutes before, I felt a rumbling in the distance, but that distance was like here. And oh my God, it was a rushing wind. And I had to race to the bowels of the Shelley Theater, pun. And I was like, there's no way this couple, lovely as they are, there's no way they're going to finish early because they have a lot to talk about. I got down there, sat down. There was a shuffling. There was literally, it was like everyone had decided to bang their chairs on the floor. They were just like, They had basically just ripped the theater looking for me. This couple had finished 10 minutes early. Mark had gone, I think he might have even been wearing a costume. He had gone, because he had all these amazing sizzle reels. He'd done this sizzle reel, having no clue that I was nowhere to be found. And he's like, and John Burkhart. And then nothing. And then, so Mark sent, did you send your wife? I can't remember. You sent like,
This gets to be more interesting.
Yeah, proper with authority. Mark's wife came down, knocked on the door. I was like, I know he's in there. Banged in, just slammed into the room and said, John, you've got a job to do. And I said, I'm actually doing a job right now. And I felt bad. I was like, that was literally the longest walk to the stage because it was literally, I'm no word of a lie, it was in the basement of the theater. It's really old Mary Shelley Theater. So it was a long walk and I had to keep my distance from this lovely woman. She was not pleased. And I walked onto stage, tail between the legs. And Mark said, I'll clean this up for you. Where the hell were you? And I didn't know what to say. I hadn't thought that he would ask that question. So I just fessed up and said, the wild swim's done me dirty. I was in the shitter. So sorry. And everyone felt for me. And somehow I recovered.
John. Came, let me tell the proper end of the story. He came zipping onto the stage on a fucking scooter and he said, sorry, everyone, I was taking a shit.
Not really.
I'm gonna have to redo my notes at this point, I'm afraid.
The theatre had to go at me for bringing a bike on the stage on this Victorian wood stage and ruin the stage. And it was
did you get your deposit back? I don't think you did. They banned me from the stage.
Did you ruin the stage?
And the audience went crazy.
The audience,
or they were stunned.
The audience was in the palm of John's hopefully washed hands. But the best part was Mark Schaefer came up for the afternoon keynote, and he came up and he said, because I got to tell you what, it's the first time I've ever done a keynote where someone came up to me and said, please don't go take a shit before you go on stage. Sorry to be so graphic, but that's literally what happened. And
that's okay. It is.
It's never happened again.
Take a poo. I should have said take a poo. My apologies.
As I was counting the beers on screen today, I thought things would probably deteriorate at some point. And I don't know whether I should get my police whistle out or not at this.
Who's holding that up? Is that Jen?
No, that's Steve. I'm taking it. This is brilliant.
No, hold on. There's
I don't think Steven wants to be involved.
We had a good shitty time today. Well, I want to tell you guys something that I want to tell you that I have, and I'm not exaggerating at all. I have never experienced in my life what I experienced the first time I logged on to You Are the Media, and I saw this guy. The energy, just Mark, you blew me away that very first time. That was actually, I think it might have been the Andrew Davis episode. Of course, unfortunately, when I was on the show, there were no camera angles. The only camera angle was basically my crotch because I was sitting in my car after the power failure trying to do the thing, stealing Wi-Fi from a Starbucks. Talk about like low energy, you know. at 8 in the morning. But what you've put together is something remarkable. And I just think to everyone watching today, you need to go and experience this for yourself. And Mark, just your energy, the way that you stood up and you just, you even did it now. Do it. Give us a little bit of Mark Masters. Hello, everybody. How is it going?
Hello, boys. Everyone don't kick back on a Friday evening. Even the daughter's loving it, aren't you?
Yeah. We're gonna do a couple of seated soliloquies today. Oh, we in a poem.
Aren't you? Hey, we got Mark Ritson next week. Mark.
Yeah,
Mark Ritson.
Next week, and then we got. You've had David Meeman Scott, haven't you? He's been on this, isn't he?
He's fantastic.
So I bought his book on how to do offline
phenocracies. You've never had Steve Garfield though.
I bloody haven't. Needs it though, don't I? I need old Steve on, don't I? I need my Steve. Yeah. So
what do you think, Steve Garfield, about the future of video streaming in a Zoom-enabled world?
I think
Are we in big trouble?
I think my whole presentation for next week's changed now. It used to be that you had to make yourself match every other speaker like this, you don't want to be like this, but now, you want to be over here. Hey, everybody.
Show me those digits, man.
He's got it. I like the way that Joseph now brings it back down to earth. Right, back down to presenting. What's the top 10 tips, everybody, to screen? When a few minutes ago I was talking about
John, you prepared a presentation, didn't you?
I did, but I'm happy to just drink beer and learn from these lovely folk. Wow, because it's
Here's an interesting point. From about Zoom and presenting, and David Meehan Scott, he hadn't said this. It's about this thing that as we gesticulate when you're on stage, nobody sees you waving arms. And I just learned this point that when you talk, how we're addressing the people that are in front of you by raising your arms and that, and how we point to that screen that's in front of us. We just got to condense it. And I thought, never thought of that before. So when I point and you...
What do you mean?
You got it. Well, look at you. You've read the book before me then, haven't you? He's read the book before me, hasn't he? He's done it before me. Joseph's done it before me.
Right now she's afraid.
No, I really am at a loss about how we gesticulate and be interesting on Zoom.
Can I ask you? Can I ask two serious questions, semi-serious questions? One is addressed to John, and then the second one is addressed to John, by virtue of the fact he is the keynote speaker today. So the first is, are you like this when the cameras have stopped rolling? And number two, maybe the second question is to Mark, which is, what do you do, or to all of you, what do you do if you don't have the energy, if you don't have the beer outfit? What do you do if this is authentically not you, and this makes you unbelievably uncomfortable? And according to John, you're the 6% of introverts. So question one, followed by question two. And while you're answering that, we're going to spotlight Stephen while he eats his pizza.
Nice. Oh, good. Very good. I got so excited about Stephen's pizza, I forgot the question. Oh my goodness.
The first question is, how much, how much of this is you? Is this your natural personality versus how you've conditioned yourself and how you execute in this, environment, whether it's physical, virtual? And then the second question, what do you do if this is just authentically not who you are?
Hey, John.
How do you deliver?
Hey, John,
let's just do it. Yeah.
John, answer the first question in your natural personality.
Okay. Okay. Well, that you asked, so I have to deliver. So I hate to admit it, but
such a softball.
So I am. My platform is constant curiosity. I am genuinely like this. I've genuinely suffered, no word of a lie, in the last 7 months. I genuinely hate Zoom. I love seeing the whites of people's eyes, and I change everything based on audience interaction. Mark will tell you that. I need that, I crave it, but I'm so desperate to just perform without sitting down that I'm happy to rent my cricket club right down the road and pay whatever they'll charge me to perform on their stage. That I want to engage people, and I want to be able to follow serendipity. Serendipity is the hardest thing to can. You can't can it. It's got to be natural. It's got to, I've jumped into crowds and tackled people before and I couldn't do that in a COVID world. So this is the natural me. My wife wants me to be serious, and I just love people. So I'm drawn to new experiences. But what I do, the second question, when the energy of the room is go on and order. It's fine. She's got to order the burgers. So what I do when it's not, my advice for people when it's not them and it's not their thing is switching things up. I just think we the TED Talk is 18 minutes. That's still too long. This is a little video I prepared earlier. Play that. Just changing the pace, not only the when you want to talk and have a pregnant pause, changing the pace of your speaking, but being able to provide other videos and provide questions, polls. I just think whatever you thought you had to do in real life, you now need to do double that to engage on Zoom. Mark?
Say that again. What was the thing about?
What was the middle part?
So
remember what that? That's from A Fish Called Wanda.
It was, you asked a question, Joseph, so can you ask it again?
Yeah, exactly. My question for you is, what do you do if you don't, like, for example, you, Mark, is this the energy that you bring in this virtual environment? Is that learned? Is it trained? Is it natural who you are? Did you create it? Are you working on it?
No, natural. I'm going to say it, and I don't want to say blasé. The stuff is natural because I tell you why, everybody, because to have these little platforms and these places to share is an absolute privilege. Otherwise, what are the roles and what are the things that we could be doing? So when I step forward and not mess about, but deliver in the way that I do listen, it's natural, just the way that it is. It's fortunate that I can do it on a screen, and it's just one of those things that clicks, and I can find a way that point out these ways to interact and create a feeling. Because that's the thing that I'm learning from all this, is that how can Zoom and how can the online world create this sense of togetherness? Exactly what this is now. I like the fact that I haven't seen you guys in a little while. I see Jan again. I see Tom. And you can create places that people feel, that enjoy and feel a part of it. I just like the idea, if I can ramp up my energy levels, and by the way, it's 7:40 on an evening here in England, I still feel energized because I'm with people that are all right. And isn't that a good place to be? And it's just that natural setting that if we enjoy being around other people, it makes everything far more easier. So please, this is not me putting anything on. There's no airs and graces. This is just how I am. And
that's it. You're right. Your love of what you're doing and your love of the people with whom you're doing it. I mean, I had 30 years as a public speaker, and I guess more audiences in the 600 people to 5,000 people range than any other range over the years. And there was a certain way I used the whole stage in that kind of context. And I was really proud that I was always the who's he amongst the who's who. I was on with Colin Powell and the Bushes and Carville and Matlin and all these people you'd heard of. And I was a guy you'd never heard of, but I never got beaten in the audience ratings. I only got tied by Colin Powell once, and I was really proud of that. And so when the Zoom thing happened, I thought, well, am I going to be able to transition to this? At every Zoom event I've done, and I've done a whole crap load of Zoom events, I'm always sitting down here in my study, and I'm getting even higher evaluations than I got in the big convention centers. And I think part of that is just the intimacy of the experience with people, and that I genuinely love what I'm doing and love the people I'm getting a chance to be with. But it's kind of a mystery to me a little bit,
Does that energize you though, Tom? Tom, does that energize you? If you're saying, look, I got this good rating here, does that give you a real kind of.
Oh yeah, I love it when I can see the people I'm with on Zoom like today, and that's a fair rarity when you've got hundreds of people on the Zoom session. It's I just have to make it happen in my head. It's a head game. Everything's a head game, really. But it can be just as exuberant. It can be just as energetic, but it modulates in different ways. And it's an interesting thing to study as kind of I'm a philosopher, so I like the sort of to study this and to try to figure it out. And it still mystifies me a little bit, but fortunately, it's going really, really great.
Well, Tom, I got bad news for you. I haven't found the yellow card yet, so I have to give you the red. You just got the red card.
Yeah, we're over time anyway, but that's we're having fun, right?
We are having fun.
Maybe not as much fun as you. We noticed the bottle. We noticed the
Glenmorangie. I mean,
I started to say Macallan, right?
If I don't get a sponsor soon on Corona TV, there are going to be no more Corona cocktails.
It probably should be Glenmorangie. Show them this tape. I think you have a good shot.
I think there's a very good chance Glenmorangie won't sponsor the show if they see this show.
Yeah.
So
I think I just wanted to add to what Tom said. One of the things I always lean on is this idea of, Simon Sinek says people don't care what you do until they know why you do it. And so why are you even here trying to be in front of anybody? What is the purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? So if the greater good is I want to move one person from this place in their life to the next level of potential or possibility, then it doesn't matter whether it's one person sitting in front of you or it's 10,000 people or 1 million people that you're streaming into. I think if we just sort of keep the focus, keep the main thing. And if you're trying to transform people or your audience, whatever that might be, then the mission of what you're doing should be the thing that energizes you, less so, and I can certainly speak for myself as a public speaker, less so than the number of people in the room, because I bring the same amount of firecracker power.
Yep.
If I've got 2 people
Absolutely.
at an event, if I've got 2,000, because the mission and the message are what I lean on. I don't lean on people to sort of give me feedback. Listen, if they're loving it and we're doing dance breaks and everybody's having a great time, fantastic. But if you believe in what it is that you feel called and here to do, then that needs to stand on its own. I just recall that scripture in the Bible where it talks about, the shepherd, and he's got his 100 sheep. And one's lost, and he puts the 99 down and he goes finding the one. So if you just focus on finding your one and moving your one, transforming your one, uplifting your one, whatever your purpose is, that should be plenty.
That's so important, because so many people tell public speakers, avoid the guy who's scowling at you in the audience. 500 people are with you and one guy is scowling. He hates you. But I do the opposite, man. He becomes my favorite person in the entire universe right there at that moment. I got to win this guy over, and it's like pouring yourself into that person. And if you've had an audience where they were up drinking till 4 a.m. and you're on at 8 a.m., right? And they're dead, the room is dead. And you got to resurrect them from the dead. And just the challenge and knowing, okay, it's going to take 5 minutes, but ultimately I'm going to see this place come alive. The feeling you get, Faith, as you bring that sheep back, right? As you bring sometimes the whole herd of sheep back, it's the most beautiful thing. And it could be the hardest work you've ever done in your life, but the satisfaction, and there's a spiritual side of this where numbers don't count. Right? Because one person is multitudes. And
right.
If you can make the right difference in that person's life, who knows how many people you've reached.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the world doesn't, I mean, one of the best things that I ever said, that I ever felt, I should say, in a presentation, I was keynoting the Net Promoter Conference, Satmetrics' Net Promoter Conference. Now, when I wrote Flip the Funnel, Net Promoter Score is one of the fundamental aspects, not of my thinking, but in the thinking, which is, every time, for those of you that don't know it, every time you see the question, how likely are you to recommend product X or service Y to a family member or friend? That's the Net Promoter Score. So if you are 9 or 10, you are considered to be a promoter. If you score 8 or 7, you are considered to be what's called a passive.
Hmm.
And 6 to 0, you're considered to be a detractor. And the net promoter score is the percentage of promoters less the percentage of detractors. And what they have found, I mean, I won't get into like where they are now and what's happened since, but what they found was that there was a correlation, a statistically representative correlation between net promoter score and profitability. Net promoter score goes up, profitability goes up. It goes down, profitability goes down. So I stood up, first time ever in front of this audience, and this wasn't necessarily my people. I wrote the book. I wrote a book on it, but I'm not a CX, whatever the hell that means, person. And I said, I hope that my net promoter score, because I know that they rate people, that's how they score their audience. I said, I hope my net promoter score is 0 at the end of this. And there was like visible, like, like shock and awe from the audience, because, you know, you want to be like 75, 80, 85. And I said, no, I'm serious. I want my score to be 0. I want as many people that love me to hate me. Or I want as many people that hate me to love me. I want to polarize you guys. I mean, sure, I would love for everybody to love me. But if everybody loves me and agrees with everything that I'm saying, why do you need me here? What the hell why am I even here? What purpose am I serving? To tell you what you already knew, what you wanted to hear. So I hope that I polarize you enough that there are people that despise me and of course people who adore me. And when you look at the percentage, less the percentage, I hope my score is a 0. I never got asked back at the conference. No, I'm kidding. I went back many, many times. But seriously, like that felt the most authentic to me, to be able to like say that and have some kind of scientific basis to say that what we don't want is apathy and indifference and whatever.
Joseph, I think you're actually being much too serious. We should go back to the beer and the pizza.
I'm out of alcohol. I can't drink anymore.
I just pick up on Faith said and what you said there. So Faith was talking about the thing that you believe in and you share, and you're talking about there, Joseph, about stepping forward and not necessarily not the caring, but the thing that you totally stand for. So you realize it all comes from a confidence thing, that over the years you talk about the things that you believe in and that you know in your heart that is right. And I'm going to give, so there's a quote here, and I love this, and I've got so much mileage out of this, and I'm going to shut up, and then Tom's going to give me a better quote. So it was, no one cares how much you know until people know how much you care. And I thought, I'll keep with that. Rather than trying to sound bigger and better than everybody.
Yeah.
As long as our subject matters are things that we believe in, that are in our heart, that we know that can make a change and we can build a decent living from, we can still deliver with vim and vigor. And as you say there, Joseph, like, I don't care about net promoter scores.
That's a Stephen Rubin original. He actually said that the very first time. So
exactly. I didn't know you knew that.
Well, today, you know, that is considered to be a personal selling, B2B sales, you know, like that is the golden rule. And so many salespeople, especially the junior people, they come in, they're selling, quota, you know, they're just, and they don't realize that they got to build a relationship first.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So, you know,
and in connection with that quote, Mark, Blaise Pascal, 1623 to 1662, right? In the Pensées, he has this sentence in English, translated in English: the heart has its reasons, of which reason knows nothing. And so that the quote you gave is an expression of that same Pascalian truth, right? We connect if we really connect, we connect on a heart level, a level of caring. And too many people in the world of business think about business as an intellectual game that's played well through the right strategies. And whereas it's a game of the heart, ultimately, and we prevail when we bring our hearts genuinely into the game and touch other people's that way. So yeah, I mean, I've had the only book I've ever had that's got probably as many 1-star reviews as it has 5-star reviews on Amazon was Philosophy for Dummies. And I just honestly took positions in that book rather than saying, well, this philosopher says and that philosopher says. And some people love it that I take a position. I stake out my ground. And Faith in particular, I'm a theist. I'm a Christian philosopher, and in a very sophisticated way. And people think that's impossible. And so they give me 1-star reviews because they can't give me -10, for that. And they just the venom pours out, But as Joseph would say, I just say, yeah, okay, I made it clear. I did stake out my territory, and people are reacting to it, and good. Maybe I've goaded somebody into thinking and worrying about why this guy, this philosopher, could say such things as this, and then it takes them down a path that they may not have gone down otherwise.
Yeah.
I'd like to summarize, by the way, and then Faith will firecracker me. So first of all, welcome Tracy Sheridan, who just joined us. I don't know who that is, but welcome.
Hey, Tracy.
Welcome. Hi, Tracy. And
Tracy.
Carla Johnson. What happened to her? I guess that hair appointment went long.
Yeah, the hair appointment went long, and she apologizes. She will get back to us for sure. Tracy, welcome.
So Tracy, you do not need to come off video or audio, whatever. Just welcome. We welcome you, and Faith James is about to give us a firecracker, a statement or question.
Well, this is what I say about the Zoom etiquette and the idea that the camera is optional. So my stand, and let me just preface this by saying, you absolutely have to stand for something or fall for anything. So I stand for, if the Zoom is meant to replace the in-person sort of, nose-to-nose, heart-to-heart connection, it's analogous to sitting in a meeting with a paper bag over your head. So who here would go to a meeting and put a bag over their head and continue to have the conversation? You wouldn't. So I think we need to sort of build that confidence muscle of just, the come as you are, just show up. The more important thing is that you're here, that your head and your heart are here. It's not what you look like. I'm not in my fabulous zhuzh, my joie de vivre look today, but I love the conversation. I was just so energized by John and what I thought at first was just these antics. I'm like, what in the world has Joseph gotten himself into today? So I literally planned on taking an afternoon nap, and here I am now in the after show. So good on you, John, for that. Definitely the idea of motion, and I talk about working the room and moving about and having people turn so they can see you rather than just sort of sit, classroom style first on. But yeah, I just think everybody needs to turn the camera on. I mean, then why are you, right? Then don't even come to the meeting. Like, why are you here if you can't come on camera? Because it's bad enough that we can't physically be in the space. Why deny us the full presence? So
it also depends on what view you have. So for example, I'm only focusing on the speaker. So like, I don't need everyone here to be on camera for me. And in fact, this is a very safe environment. And so that's a different context. But I got to tell you, you talk about John's antics, and you're like, what is Joseph? I only have one regret today with the show, and that was having John on. But other than that, like nothing. But I'll tell you in all seriousness, my regret is you cannot believe the substance behind this man, this wonderful man. We didn't get into this Harvard Business Review article, on happiness and the virtual high five and this deck that he put together, which you cannot believe how brilliant this deck is with all these incredible examples and insight. And so we'll figure out a way for him to come in and share that with us. But at the end of the day, mission accomplished in terms of bringing levity and bringing joy to a time when people are tearing each other and themselves apart, and that's why this is the perfect, I said it many times, the perfect end to not just the week, but this whole period in our lives where, depending on whether you're left, right, centrist, independent, whatever, in America, like, we all need to figure out how the hell to move forward and how to heal. And so John was the best tonic, for that in the entire world. And there were, so many unbelievable insights today. And I jotted some of them down. There weren't many, but I jotted some of them down. I just want to show you. But I mean, I think the thing is, this was truly, you know, inspirational, and I'm glad, Faith, that you stayed with us too as well, because this all makes us want to raise our game at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. So my favorite professor in college, my constant complaint was it was so mesmerizing I forgot to take notes. And you know, today to have such a big spot on my thing where I just said a good time was had by all, I just had to summarize, you know, the main part of the show today. And this is part of mixing it up.
Yeah.
And giving us the experience, the quilt of experiences we need at this particular juncture in our history, right? With all the gloom and doom and grim and prognostications and some things I heard yesterday from a Yale specialist on how long this COVID thing is going to go on, which is really depressing. And then we need to find a way to be our genuine selves, and playfulness is a really important part of it. So thank y'all today.
And we all have it, right, Tom? Just like we've discussed on Corona TV, we all have happiness. You know, our natural state is happy. You know, curiosity, all of the traits that we need to survive and thrive as a people, as as humanity, were things that we had naturally when we were kids.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, John, that was in one of your articles as well. I think it was the Harvard article that talks about kids naturally, like what was it? It was an aspect of high-fiving. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. So, well, any sort of outburst in emotion it's a natural thing where we're like, oh gosh, high fives, that's intimate. Yeah, but it becomes natural. It comes natural to kids, and then they switch off in their teens, for obvious reasons. Yeah. That's the curiosity thing as well. I just want to, Joseph, it's your show, your last word, but I want to kind of try my best to attempt to encourage all of us, whatever continent we live on. But like, I'm going to out Blaise Pascal Tom here, because one of my quotes to end on with the deck that I didn't do was Blaise Pascal said, somewhere, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I like adding two things because I hate formulas. Somewhere, something, someone incredible is waiting to be known. And I actually think Corona TV is bringing these someones and these some things, and through these little Zoom things, which I didn't think were going to be as engaging as this has been. So I'm like kind of blown away, beer or not beer. And I just think you're, Joseph, allowing lots of someones to be known. You're allowing me to meet Faith, me to try to out Tom 30 books with my 3, but also just getting to see actually Steve Garfield in the flesh, as opposed to just comments on amazing comments on every show. This is amazing. I love what you've built, and I hope you'll continue to build it regardless of what president comes.
Oh, beautiful words. And listen, as I said to you before the show started, starting in December, some of you don't even know this yet. Like Faith, I don't think she knows it. I don't think Mark knows it yet. But starting in December, every Friday show will be a community show, and it will be fed from previous guests. There might be a few little exceptions, like there's some regulars, you know who you are, that will always be able to get on if they want to, that weren't necessarily guests yet, because they probably will be guests at some time. Because I believe, and I've said this, that if I cannot bring out the best in every single person on this planet and find out their story and something inspirational and insight, then I have failed. I really genuinely believe that. And so every single Friday is going to be 10 of us on the screen. And the serendipity of it is you don't know who you're going to end up with. And the only limit, the only restriction is 1 a month, not more than 1 a month. But if nobody comes, then quite frankly, you can come on once a week. I don't care. And I'll manage that part of it. But what it will allow is you never know who you're going to end up with.
Good idea.
And by the end of this year, I'll have 200 guests. And by the end of next year, 500 plus guests. And so the community will just continue to grow and expand.
Our pictures on the screen will get really small, right?
No, I don't even know about the after show. I think the after show will just stay small and intimate. I think there's something weird about this after show that will never get to a point where, this week we had a lot of people that have never been on for the first time, and I love that. But I'm not that concerned about it anymore. So like Tracy's here, which is amazing, and Jason was here earlier. But I'm not trying to create quantity from the after show. I'm trying to create quality from this after show. And so
Mark, for example, Mark, your being here today was so important for this after show. Just your participation in the mix. I mean, and not just the crazy voice, right? But the profundity of comment, which, by the way, is almost a Pascalian paradox, right? The greatness and wretchedness of mankind, the silliness and the deep thought all together is a great blend, often in this after show. But I think, Mark, you take us to greater heights and deeper depths. But interpret that any way you like. So I'm glad you were here.
Oh, bless. No, enjoy it. As you said, it's a good time to put it on. I made sure that John was on and support the people that are good friends and everything else, and just be a part of this. It's great. It's a lovely. It's a lovely way to end the week, and it's lovely to see you guys again. It's interesting. You've got a big week lined up next week on your side, so there's that sense of curiosity taken from John about what's in store for everyone on your side.
Yeah,
nice way that brings everyone in together again. I like that. I like it.
It really does.
Listen, I feel like who became Vote and Hope, by the way?
Oh, that's Jan. Yeah.
And because your icon says VA, I'm like, what is that?
Who changes these? You're doing this.
I did it. Of course, I did it. I changed all of your. But the most important thing is that we come together next week, and it's a truism as well. Like, people don't care much you know until they know much you care. That there are more things that connect us and bring us together than pull us apart and divide us. And that's what I try and figure out here. And I think what's interesting about it even is just being able to be a little vulnerable and share and open up, and it's been great. It's been a hell of a week. Next week, in terms of guests, are not necessarily like the week is big. I try to create guests or curate, do a little bit more curation next week, just because I wanted to dial down the marketing and the business and the PR and the intensity, and just dial up messages of hope, positivity, and optimism. Yeah, we'll keep going, man.
And I love, by the way, the Immortality Key session on Wednesday, and not just because I was able to talk more than usual, but I thought that was a great way to mix it up. In fact, at this point, you guys are all superheroes to me. Oh,
there's another book.
You guys are.
You just.
I got to get a new costume.
Hold on, that's the red card. He's officially. You know that you have to leave the field when you get the red. By the way, guys. This is an official red card from FIFA referees from the World Cup.
That's good.
It was given to my co-clients, but unfortunately I lost the yellow card. So
I get no warnings then.
I mean, some of your offenses are straight reds, my friend.
Right. Well, that's what he does, right?
Like a tackle from behind with studs up.
I'm not drinking hemlock, so I'll take anything short of that, right? Fashion has a bad reputation.
Who's lined up? Listen, apart from the legend that is Steve, the legend that is Steve Garfield is lined up for next week. Then, who's coming up?
Steve Garfield just likes to watch.
Wow.
Joseph, a word?
Yes.
I am going to be working at the polls on Tuesday on Election Day, so I will miss the after show and CoronaTV. But I'd like you to know that Mr. Haskell is a fantastic human being, and if I was still in Connecticut, I would vote for him.
Well, thank you. I'm excited. My daughter interned for him, and he really is. I mean, how old is he? 22, 23? He's
maybe 24.
I taught him. Tell him I taught him.
Tony actually taught him.
Hi, Tony.
Ruben, you should do a live report from the polling locations. Just patch in live, and
yeah, that'd be pretty exciting.
Show us what's going down.
I like the fact that you've just called him Ruben now. You've just decided from now on he's going to be just known as Ruben.
Hey, it's a firecracker in me. I just like do what I want.
Hey,
Just
Ruben.
go right ahead. You can call me anything you want except late for dinner.
Well, you've eaten the pizza as well, and and Tom, remember the beautiful thing about our relationship right now is I will give you a red card every single episode because you'll deserve it, and yet you'll keep coming back, and that's what makes it keep going.
What better combination could you ask for, right?
I mean, it's this what family's
Push
about.
the limit every time and still get invited back. You know.
You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family.
That's good.
All right, guys. This might be a record for an after show, but you know what? We'll keep breaking it. That's the beauty of it.
And this was a good week for me because look what came in the mail.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Whoa! Whoa!
Come on, guys.
I
Stop
could
it.
not be more excited.
Hold on.
Yes.
All right, who's gonna take the screenshot? Who's gonna take the screenshot?
Oh my
That's
gosh.
it.
I would if I knew how.
Hold on. Everybody who's got who's got their book? Let me see if I can do this.
Oh, there are screenshots being taken.
Yeah, I took. Momentito. Hold on. Let me see. Anybody else who's got their book? Okay.
Hold on. Bring in other people. Bring in other stringers off the street. Built to suck. That's good. That's good. Built to suck.
That's hilarious.
All
Yeah,
right.
I don't want mine in. I want one without built to suck.
You got to end the week on a high note, right?
All right. Well, guys,
I'm gonna go spend those royalties right away. I'm gonna go spend the royalties.
I will see some of you, hopefully more of you, next week on Monday. With and by the way, do you want to give a little pun for Rini, our friend Rini? Faith?
Do I want to do what?
You want to give a little plug or punt or promo as to why you should tune in on Monday for Rini?
I don't know. What's I'm at a loss.
We love her, right?
I'm trying to think of what would be well, she's a woman, so there's that.
She's a woman. Tune in on Monday to see a woman on Corona TV.
No more needs to be said on Corona TV. Tell your friends, wake the neighbor. Bring the dog.
I'm definitely going to add her to the binder. And on that note,
I know.
Guys,
it's like, oh my gosh.
We all say farewell and have a great weekend. You guys have been Eeyore for me today, so thank